Hello,
Hey Pete,
how are you?
we're good. How are you doing?
Good. Trying to see if I can get this thing to go, but okay. Here we go. There we go.
Voila. Hey John.
Hey.
Hey guys, how are y'all doing?
Man,
Good.
Everybody feeling better?
Not 100% yet, to be honest with
Yeah.
you, but today puts me at 2 solid weeks of not being right. I had
Mm.
7 days of fever. Oh, it was terrible.
I'm sorry to
Terrible.
hear.
Yeah, brutal. Kind of back at it a little bit, but I'm not 100% for sure. So,
Yeah. Well,
wow.
glad you're making progress. I know that
yeah,
sucks. But
brutal.
Thanks for being on the call.
Sure.
yeah.
John looks
Um
comfortable.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. He's chilling. He's chilling.
well, actually, I forgot my cup of water. Give me give me 1 second, sorry.
I'll grab it.
Has it just been you, Pete, or is any of the other team been sick?
I was going around a little bit. This here. I started it first. Yeah, John.
Oh, that's why he looks so relaxed.
He was the bad person. And then he gave it to our driver, and then he gave it to a couple people. So yeah. But I was the only one who had it. I don't know. When I get sick, it usually seems to drag because it goes into my chest always.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah.
Alrighty. Well, I wanted to start off by asking any thoughts or feedback on the last meeting. I think I got the sense after our last call that we dumped a bunch of information on you and kind of overwhelmed you a little bit, and then you weren't. I wasn't 100% sure that you felt clarity or comfortable, or I don't know what the right word is. So any thoughts on the last call?
You have to pardon me because it still's a little foggy, and I've dropped a lot for a period of time, so I have to try to pick stuff back up. I think the only
Yeah,
thing that comes to mind, yes, it did feel like it was a dump, and I was like, whoa. I think the hard part about this all for me is trying to figure out what all to do, whether I'm more passive or more included, and how much time we can give to it, and if we don't give time to it, how helpful that would be to you. And so that's part of not understanding, and then just not knowing what all needs to be done. So that's one part of it, is just trying to understand how much time we'll have, even once it starts season starts up, and we're pretty close to it starting up here. And then the other part, I guess, is just I think ACT versus whatever the CRM. Um, I think it seems like you would prefer it be with the one that you guys are used to, but unfortunately, I think I didn't realize we signed on for a lengthy agreement, but either way, it's been something that we've been using for years since our inception, and it's been kind of easy to work with and as reasonable as you can see. I mean, I think it's a pretty significant cost upgrade to go to the system that you guys were looking at. So I don't know that that makes sense unless there's a real strong reason to want to do that. So that's all the only feedback I have. Do you have anything, John? I guess no. Beyond that, no.
okay, that's helpful. So to address the first point, time. It would actually be helpful for us to kind of get a sense, or me to get a sense of how much time do you think you can contribute? Because we can tailor the strategy a little bit more to getting your help versus not getting your help. And I know that if we probably get your help as much as we can in the month of February, it sounds like once we get into March, your time will be more limited.
That's
But
true. Yeah, yeah,
can you
that's
give me
true.
some sort of idea about how much time you think you could, like, can you give us an hour a
Yeah,
week or 2 hours a week or five? I don't know what that would
yeah,
look like,
yeah.
but
No, I think we could definitely still carve out a couple hours a week here and there. John
okay,
John hits seasons where he gets like he'll get 85 bids, and he'll be like just buried. So he might have to get sucked out of it. But I can
sure.
help. But the other part of the equation is I'm like not even sure like what like does when we say time, does that mean time like we're having right now, just to discuss where you guys are at and just kind of make sure we're on the same page, or does that mean time like sitting down and trying to write a blog or what, that type of stuff? I'm not even sure what
That's
time
great.
means.
Yep. Yeah, that's a great question. Okay, so at the beginning here, most of the time in the first, month or two is usually spent in these types of calls,
Yeah,
where we're trying to get as much information as we can to do the job for you. So we do not intend for you to write blog posts or to craft emails or those types of things, or even to put together flyers, brochures, anything that we're going to do that's a tangible asset. We do not expect you to create. What
okay,
we what we're trying to do at the beginning here is get enough information so that we can get drafts together for you and
sure,
then have you review, sign off. There'll be a little
okay,
bit more of that at the beginning just because we've got to understand your tone of voice, the words that you use and don't use.
yeah,
We might craft a couple of emails or a couple of things to post on the website, and you let us know, well, we don't really say it that way for this or
yeah.
that reasons. And then
If
once as we learn that, we'll get better at it.
that makes sense. That makes a lot more sense. If it's helpful for you, we even have some documents that we've typed up some responses to similar questions, and we can share that with you,
Yeah,
whether that's
absolutely.
through AI or whatever. I'm sure you could get something that's very similar to the way that we would word things.
Yes,
Yeah.
anything like that that you can start putting into a
Okay,
folder,
I can do that.
or sharing with
Yep.
us, that would be helpful. Yep.
Okay.
And then, okay, so, I guess we kind of go into three phases. So phase one is this phase where we're in now, is where we're trying to get as much information from you as we can. We're
Sure.
putting together a strategy, presenting that to you, and getting your feedback to whether what the strategy we come up with feels right for you. The second phase is what I just described, where we'll start creating some content and making some updates and getting your feedback on those types of things. And
Okay.
then from that point on, it'll be more like a monthly call where we present, here's what we did last month, here's what we're working on next month. Do you have any issues coming up? Do you need help with a specific proposal? Or we're going to be working on some case studies. And so we might need some information from you to get those done.
Okay.
So it's heavier on the front end and then kind of tapers off a little bit. And then we get into just kind of a regular cadence where if we're going to be doing an email and a blog post and a couple of social media posts or something like that, we're creating those, sending them to you for your review and feedback, and then
Okay.
executing.
Okay. Yes, that's I don't we could possibly even give, an hour a week or something, even throughout our busy season. But there
Okay.
may be a week or two here or there where we're like, hold on, this is going to be hard, like specifically John. But yes, we could absolutely so I don't want to come across as though like saying like, oh no,
No,
we
absolutely.
can't help. And
Yeah.
I just wasn't sure what the extent of that meant. Like, am I going to be writing a blog for 7 hours one day or something, or
Yep.
so
Yeah.
so I'm glad to hear that you're helping with that stuff. That's good, and I'm glad to hear that you're presenting it to us and giving us the opportunity to give feedback. I think some of this canned responses to things will be hopefully helpful to you. So I'll try to get you that as soon as
Yes.
possible.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and I don't take you being standoffish at all. I think it's helpful for us to know realistically what can we expect, as far as your time availability. We do
Okay.
have some other clients that, in fact, Austin and I just got off a call with a client that's very seasonal because they sell docks. So, we know that once, Memorial Day hits, they're slammed through the summer.
Yep.
And so we try to do a lot of heavy work in the winter,
Yep.
for them.
Okay.
So yeah, we get that. All righty. Let's see. Okay. And so where we're trying to get to is, the plan, for how to spend our monthly budgets and time. Um, so I'm gonna share my screen.
While you're doing that, I guess the hard part is we'll give feedback when you give suggestions or thoughts, but we really don't even know where to start. I mean, we're going to probably send a few emails just to follow up with some people that know us. We're going to have Paul, who we talked about, go and just do some basic drop offs. Like he's going to drop off some pink and red, candy to some places for Valentine's Day, and maybe some green, Hershey's Kisses to people for St. Patty's, and we're going to do a few little things like that. But
Hmm.
aside from that, we're not doing anything with regards to searches or anything with regards to our websites or anything with regards to LinkedIn or any or so because we don't even know what we don't know, to be honest with you.
Yeah, sure.
So um
Yeah, I think I gather that. So I think I've
okay.
got I think I've got a good direction for us to start heading in.
Okay.
Um, so let me revisit this. And I know just looking at this pyramid overall is a little bit too much. But I just want to look at it from a high level view.
Yep.
So what we were trying to get across in our last meeting is that what happens down here at the bottom is the most important for you all, um, especially in your type of business and the number of even available. It's not like you can market to everybody across the country, right? So starting with your happy customers and finding ways to get them to refer you to other people that you want to meet, for example, would be a really like if you've got people that are happy with your work and how you operate, or
Yep.
people that know you, people that you've bid work for, or maybe I was looking at some of your spreadsheets, so it looks like you're some companies you're bidding, a dozen projects,
Mhm.
and you're getting accepted for three of those, right? So maybe getting a few more from that same client if there's a way that we can assist you with that. So all that kind of work is down here, in the bottom, which is the most important work, is closing deals and getting repeat business and getting referrals. But we want to have a way for people that don't know you at all to become familiar with you and to start to trust you, and so that they can start asking for you to bid on projects and things like that. So we'll start at the small part of the pyramid, and we're going to kind of work our way back. But we want to make sure that we have some marketing activities across all these different levels. That's the general picture there. Um, so having understanding that our focus is on a more of a narrower market, which is, well, what we call this target 50 here. This is a little bit, as my understanding. I'm going to ask you some more questions about this target 50, but
Sure.
it's my understanding that when you're just talking about going out, outreaching, delivering Valentine's candy, that's to these people, correct? Like,
Correct.
yep, okay,
Yep. It's not even that necessarily. I think it's only the highlighted yellow ones that were on that sheet. So I
yep,
mean, he's not going to everybody. He's going to a good chunk of them. A
yeah,
handful.
yeah, yeah,
Yep. Yep. The orange and yellows, I think, are that's it. I think he's
perfect.
focusing on the orange really first,
Yep,
and then he's
okay,
throwing in a couple, maybe a couple of the yellow if there's time.
okay,
Yeah, and I provided in that second tab, just I assumed those were the priorities. So I took each of those from each tab
yeah,
and put it in the top 50.
Yep.
Um, yeah.
okay, great. Okay, so understanding this is kind of where we want to live, but we don't want to exclude our marketing efforts to just these people because there might be people that we can bring in here also. But this will be our focus over the next few months. Um, so then, if we look at this kind of a spreadsheet, this is if you like the higher the numbers, just more the effort that we're going to put into these areas, right? Um, so one of the things that we have first off is I would say I would put these kind of together. Um, I want to help deep dive into the target 50 list a little bit more so that we understand when we're communicating with them, whether it is you have in-person visit or an email to them, or we help you develop a case study or a flyer. We want to know a little bit more about who these people are and
Yep.
how they're different from one another so that we can
Sure.
communicate the right message to them at the right time. Um, so we're going to spend some effort at the beginning here, with this top 50 list and segmenting them.
Yep.
We're going to spend some time, making sure that what we communicate with them is refined, which is your story, right? And then we're going to work on a workflow. So how we're going to get those things done. And then one of the things that I think is important for them to understand is some case studies. So how have you solved some of their pain points or problems with your happy customers already? Um, so that's kind of these are where the buckets of time that we're going to be spending, or in these higher number areas. Um, so in order for us to figure out, for example, if we're going to do any emailing to them, we're not obviously going to send the same email to all of these people, right? Because you have different priorities for them, you have different relationships with them, there's a different level of understanding. And what you tell a property manager is not going to be the same thing that you tell a general
Correct.
contractor or designer, right?
Yep.
Um, so once we know how to kind of divvy up this list of people, that will influence our recommendation for how many different emails or how many different case studies or how many different brochures we should help you put together, right?
Okay.
So what I would like to talk a little bit more about this list today
Yep.
so that we can know if we were going to, have two different campaigns or four different campaigns.
Okay.
Do we need one for each of these, or is there enough overlap between property managers and commercial industrial that we could create one asset that would benefit both of them? And I don't know. So that's what we kind of need a little bit more information from you on some of these things. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. Let me pull up my list here. Okay, so this list are these people that you have done some work with before, or are these all people that you've never worked with before?
Some we have done work for. Yep.
Okay.
And many you can check that on the sales stuff that we shared to you. Like in most instances, if we are working for them, we've done some work, but not a lot. Like some
pre-ordered, the top were the ones that we are like.
yeah, if it wasn't, yeah, John said if it wasn't reordered, the top are the ones that obviously we've done more for. So that was sales by customer. Sales by
Yep.
customer is
Oops, sorry.
is by each person, obviously, so that the top person is Joe Malone, for example. We've done 56 jobs for him for 470, so
Yep.
and working your way down. The other one was by company, and by company just would say, hey, if there's more than one person at that company, that one
Okay.
person might be worth a lot, but that's what that was. Um,
Yep.
but if you go back to that target, there is a wide range of all sorts of stuff. So let's just use the far left, the property management. Sequoia is very low. We do work for them. They're the top, they're number two, Sequoia under property management of that comp.
Yep.
First Service Residential is one that we usually every year do a couple of little jobs for, but not very much. They're a massive conglomerate. If we're lucky, we're scratching less than 5% of that surface. That's one where we're almost backing into jobs. We're not getting into them. So we'll do work for a general contractor who will connect us to somebody, and then they'll meet us and they'll like us, and then they'll say, hey, you guys want to bid on this too or something. It's we're not on their standard bidders list. We're not in their vendor file. We're not one of their preferred vendors. But we sure would love to be, because they have tons and tons and tons of opportunities. So that's who that is, and and then same thing with, I think, Associate Chicagoland, Sudler, Chicago Property, those community specialists. Each one of those, we might get a job or two if we're lucky. Again, just kind of almost fall into it just by a person who knows us, who passed us along to their, like let's say an AE or an architect that's category K, line 11. Those are architects, they're AEs. So
Yep.
there's guys over there that, let's say, for example, First Service Residential hires KGH architects.
Right.
That's Kellamar Gottfried Hart is what it stands for. And KGH knows us and likes us, and says, hey, you might want to try adding integrity to your RFP for this estimate. They're good guys. They do a good job with this. So we get a lead to First Service Residential from KGH or from WJE, for example,
Yep.
architect. So that's how that works. So yeah, we kind of are in with them, kind of backdoory, kind of sort of like
Yep.
right now we have a job we're actually working on right now. We just got the contract for it. It's a fairly large one. It's like 350,000. WJE was the architect, so they're the third one down, and they
Yep.
they spoke highly of us. And the property management firm is are they on there? Advantage. They're number 10 on the property management company. Well, we didn't get the bid from Advantage. We actually really got it from WJE. And now we have
Mhm.
a manager at Advantage who we're going to get to meet at a pre-construction meeting, who's never met us before or hasn't for a long time. And we're going to be able to spend some time talking to him. So sometimes these are interwoven. Does that make
Yeah,
sense? Uh,
absolutely.
so um, yeah, so the designers and architects and masons, the ones on the far right hand side or the column K, are
Yep.
oftentimes the bridge for us to get in with column B,
Okay.
because we'll either work for them on one, like we also, for example, Central Building and Preservation is the top one listed on our Mason. That's one of our best customers. You've seen them on our list a bunch.
Yep.
Or quality. I'm sorry, quality is probably even better. But we worked on quality's jobs last year, maybe 3 or 4 large jobs for them, and one of them was for First Service Residential. So we
Okay.
kind of were working. The contract came from quality. We were working, but we were working on a property, and then the property manager got to know us a little bit based on that.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
It's a little complicated, but that's how that most of our work in column B is through connections in column K.
Okay. Yes, this is exactly the type of stuff that we need to understand
Okay.
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
if you don't, I guess a follow-up question is, do you ever go directly to these property management companies in Orange,
We
or do they
try.
or do they
Yeah.
all come through the K
No.
column? Okay.
No, they definitely have painting contractors that they do work for, but it's hard to break into them. And that's what like so they might have 3 vendors and they might have 30 other people who want to get on their vendor list, like for to be because usually for a bid, if they manage associations for a condo and townhome associations, and what they do is they'll be asked to like bid the balconies of a building like a high rise, and so they will get 3 or 4 vendors to do it, but they have 30 vendors trying to get on their bidders list, so it's very hard to become one of them, and that's the hard part. And sometimes they're closed lists, sometimes it's complicated, so that's the part that we've often struggled with, is how to get in with them. So go ahead.
That column for us is the most important, but it's also the longest play.
Yeah.
We know that, I mean, we've been working on like First Service for 5 years, like really putting in effort, and it still has really not produced any fruit. But we have to keep building on that. And that's pretty much that whole column is because they have the vendor lists, it becomes a relationship thing with somebody to get you on that list. So we're just trying to work on those relationships.
Yep. Yep.
And I might push back a little bit on that and say, we haven't tried very hard.
Not hard, but
And I'm not, we're doing something.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't go to trade shows. We don't go to, we've tried to drop off some stuff, their facility, but it's a corporate floor. And it's like, it's very hard to make sure that it even gets to the right people. And, it's kind of complicated and difficult to get in. We have an email where we found somebody who's in their vendor thing, and we've been asking them to try to get into their vendor file, and they're like, well, we already have our 3, we don't need a 4th. And so like we haven't even been able to get added to that either. It's been complicated. So
Okay.
yeah, they're long plays, I agree. The work on the right oftentimes, so the architects and masons are generally larger scale exterior projects. Those projects may range anywhere from 20 to 900,000. Usually they're 20,000, or usually they're 100,000 or 50,000. The architects are involved in bigger jobs that require more expertise. Same thing with the mason. The mason might have $800,000 worth of masonry repairs to do there, and they might have 100,000 in painting. So that's how we do that. The designers are a totally different animal. Those are interior generally. So that would be like common areas and corridors. That'd be like those designers would help them design what their entrance lobby might look like. Let's say it's a 15-story building, floors 2 through 15. Like is there wallpaper around those hallways, and is all the doors need to be stained and painted, and
Right.
does the ceiling need to have the popcorn scraped off, and and all that minutia. Those would be wonderful for us to get in with. We've done some work over the years for spot stuff like for those people. We never really been able to get in with them extensively. And that's why we have them listed, highlighted as somebody who we think is important, because that work is all winter work, which is not easy to get, hard to get. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
so the dark yellow is like the highest priority, and then the yellow is next level right under the
the orange. Yeah. If you look at the bottom, there's a legend. Scroll down a little bit on the bottom right hand.
Yeah.
Right
Yeah.
there.
Okay.
Primary, secondary. Yeah.
And then everybody else is just, let's keep them in the loop.
Yeah, we've identified them. Yeah, it's more for us. They're people that are on there, and most of the zeros are people who I think we determined that either they were low priority or they already knew about us
Okay.
or we're working for them. So, you know,
We don't want to spend any effort.
we didn't want to spend much effort on the zeros, kind of
Yep.
what you're saying. That
Yeah.
was really kind of what that was.
That makes sense.
And the one would be like number one. If we had to choose one, we chose the one in each column. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
That does. Perfect.
Two would be the two in each column, and so on and so forth.
And so then I'm trying to understand how this chart relates to, it's my understanding you have about 2,000-ish emails in your email database.
CRM, yeah, in our
Yeah, the
database.
CRM.
You mean as far as customers? Yeah, we have a couple thousand, and a lot of these companies are filled out, and they're filled out
Okay.
by you. I mean, you can go to prologis.com and you can say find me the office in Illinois, and then you go and then you can, and some of them like NAI Hiffman or for example, which is the column E number one. You can literally look up any person, and there's ways you could cross reference between LinkedIn and their web pages and kind of figure out who their property managers are and who's
Okay.
asset management. I mean, you can kind of look up people and look at their titles, and that's how
Yeah.
we filled that out. Is over time is just researching slowly but surely, going into LinkedIn, going onto their web pages, figuring out what their titles are. We are not going to put in somebody who's in accounting or who's in HR or at their
Yeah.
company, because those people have nothing to do with us, but we're going to put in the people that pertain to us. So it's a lot of it's just been research that we've done and filled out and put those people in. The hard part is that then the reason why we constantly are going to LinkedIn is they're moving around a lot. So
Yeah.
somebody might be a manager at Collier's in column E number 4, and then 6 months later or 2 years later they're at Cushman Wakefield, the one below them.
Right.
And we're like,
okay.
they move around in these, which it's good and bad. It's good because hopefully that's how we get into some of these places, by somebody who liked us at one place and worked with us, and then they work with us at another place. But sometimes like number 10 on that list, CBRE, was one we've had years where we've done fantastic for them. Well, we had one property manager who absolutely loved us and gave us everything, and then she, I think, was let go. And when she was let go, they fell off the list. The same thing happened to us for Trade Lane Properties, who's up a ways too. Trade Lane had a property manager who again loved us, literally gave us everything, and so for a year or two, and so they were a good customer of ours. And then she was let go, and now it's very difficult for us to get in there.
Okay. Okay. This is really helpful. I took a stab at how I think to break down communicating with different groups. Let me add this to. So I think what I'm hearing aligns with this, but I just want to make sure that we kind of, if this seems logical to you, or if there's any mistakes in this list. But it seems like we have decision makers.
Yep.
Would be one group of people. And so I would say that that's probably the main people at these column B, is my understanding. Then we have influencers, which would be the property managers, facilities managers. And we might have a different message to those people. Then we have gatekeepers. I think this is the right wording, or operators. And then we just talked a lot about your industry partners, so architects, designers, and things like that. And then we wouldn't want to talk to past clients the same as never clients, right? So people that worked with you before, we might want to communicate with, or we will communicate with them different than people that have never worked with you before.
Yeah, this is probably pretty accurate. I would say B and C are the ones that kind of have the most amount of traction, if you
Yep.
will. C maybe even more than B, because when you hit A, like those people don't ever respond, and if
Right.
you're barraging them with stuff, that you end up getting blacklisted real quick.
Yep. Yeah. So I think I agree. It seems like our focus would be on this middle group here,
Yep.
with, especially based on what you said, B and C. Although it sounds like the architects and designers are a really good link way into the decision makers.
Yeah, those are, like John said, but those have been fantastic for us. They're just extreme long play.
Okay.
It's
Do they,
just, and I don't
do
know
they
how
do-
I don't even know how you would solicit them. It's
Yeah.
like,
That would probably be one that we'd have to do, like a case study, or
Yeah.
like a success story from one, to help get some eyes from other people. But again, it would probably not be an immediate RFP result or anything.
Do you see
Okay.
the industry partners moving from or bouncing from company to companies as much as the um what was the list that you had? I think the
D, I would say no, not as much. It's the property management industry, especially column B. B B first, then E second. Maybe no, maybe B first and H second, I should say. Those two kind of bounce people around a lot.
Okay.
I mean, in the property management firm on the B column, they bounce them around a real lot, and the reason for that is the way condo boards work is you hire a company and you only sign an agreement with them for a year, but it's a but or 6 months, and it's usually it's terminated at will. So it's like sometimes
Mhm.
they'll like we talk to these people downtown on Lakeshore Drive, and there's real high end buildings, and they're super wealthy, and they just don't like the way the property manager looked at them or didn't handle a project right, and they fire them and just get
Oh,
somebody
wow.
else. So it's like it's crazy. It's
Yeah.
hard to even keep track of it sometimes.
Mm.
Occasionally, you get managers who stay at places for a lengthy period of time, especially the people that go a little higher up the chain when they're more in your column A, I think it was, or whatever that top one. Once they start to become like more of a senior level person, yeah,
Yeah.
A, like a senior level, like a director or VP, or they're like, okay, they've been at the business for 14 years, they're not going anywhere. But a lot
Yeah.
then a lot of times it's very hard for us to be able to get a hold of them because they're not the people like we talked about before go to the golf outings. They're not the people at any of the
Yeah.
social events because it's like flies on you know what when they're there. I feel bad for them. They have so many vendors.
Everybody wants, yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
and those are people in that industry too. They make they earn a good wage. I mean, they make six figures three times over to be a
Yeah.
director, for example.
Right.
So tickets don't even mean anything to them. They'll buy their own tickets for their family. It's like
Yeah.
so. If that
Yeah,
makes sense.
I asked about column K because if they don't shift around as much, that that could be a greater payoff. If you
Yeah,
when it comes to referrals, if referrals are is the end game in cultivating those. Um,
they do
but if they
give us a
do,
lot of referrals. You're right. That maybe that
yeah,
is better because they don't move as much. I don't know. Like John said, maybe that's also better for like a case study. I think he's correct in that because a lot of times, especially the architects, they're super into like the nuances of how things are done. Like I had a guy from WJE call me today about asking me questions about we're on that job that I just told you. It's a big, huge job that he gave us that it's the property manager is from Premier or no Advantage Management. But we have a pre-construction meeting at the end of next week, I think it is. We're supposed to go see there, but he knows that we're dealing with some like lead on this job, and then he's calling me. He knows that I've been around the block for a long time, so he's calling me, asking me about how to deal with it on a job that he's on a different job, and he's
Mhm.
just picking my brain, asking me questions, and I'm like, because he's got an engineer's mind. You know how engineers' minds are. They want to know exactly how everything works. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm happy to do it if I can come across like being an expert for him and helpful to him. So I think the case study thing, John's probably onto something there with those people in particular.
Yeah, that's a good segue. That's exactly what I think our strategy will be. So for each of these five different groups, we'll have a slightly different nurture strategy for them. Like how do we keep in touch with them and how do we, as far as like, is it an email? Is it an in-person visit? Is it a mailer?
Yeah.
So we'll develop a nurture strategy for each of these levels. And then we need to understand like what is their main pain point. So what do you do or how do you do it better than
Yeah.
your competitors to solve their pain? And then exactly what you're saying, if we can create a case study to highlight that to them. So if we look at designers and architects just as an example, we will have a nurture strategy for how do we keep in touch with them? What is their pain point that you're going to solve for them? And then we'll put together a case study that you can use in different ways to highlight to say, oh, we just completed this project. I think it is, it'd be relevant for you to understand what's changing in the industry, what's going on, how we handled it. And then, if we end up with a testimonial from the client at the end of that, um, to me, that's kind of how we're developing the strategy for reaching those. And then, but the pain points of your architects and designers, or actually the architects may be different than the designers, but they're definitely going to be different than your influencers, right? They're going to have a slightly different pain point, I imagine.
Yeah.
And so we might have a different case study that we want to share with them. And some of these people might respond better to email. Some of them might respond better to in-person visits, dropping by once a quarter. And then some of them we might develop a print mailer. We call it a high impact mailer that would go out to them that really highlights what you can do for them.
Okay.
So this is what I'm thinking. So when I say that, how does that kind of sit with you?
Yeah,
Does that
that's
sound like?
fine. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's fine. The one thing that kind of stinks is that we're just kind of getting started now, and really, like literally, RFPs are like today. RFPs are just starting to come through because this is so seasonal that,
Yeah.
like, for example, the commercial in particular, like we had one, like, what 15 bids come through today for like a commercial, one of the commercial clients,
All right.
because they're getting out ahead of the curve because it's like weather's nice here today. So as
Yeah.
soon as we get a day like where it's like 45 or 50 or something, all of a sudden it's like everybody's like, oh, might as well send out my RFPs. So it's like we're late to the game on some of this stuff. We
Sure.
can still develop it and maybe even if set some of the stuff up to go if you can go back to the one with
Target.
stat
This or
no
this.
yeah that one. Okay, so
Yep.
for example, column B, E, and B and E in particular, like bidding ramps up like end of February, March, and April. That's like spring seasons, like the planes about to take off the runway. So you really want to nail them. Usually we do right around now, somewhere from February 1st on. So it's February, March, and April because that's spring. That's the exterior season ramping up, baby, ready to go. Whereas the designers, the K, that's all interior. Usually that's more at the end of the summer where you're hitting them up. You're going at them in, September, August, November, because they're looking at RFPs because they know that they're going to get better rates in the winter. So usually their bids are late summer. So like the timing of some of the stuff. What I found is I can email like BE and architects, for example, all winter long and they won't even respond. Then I email them in February and they're going back and forth with me because the season, because
Yeah.
it's like asking somebody if they need snow plowing in the dead of summer. Like they're like, just leave me alone. Will you stop? Seriously. But
Well,
then
one
if
of
you
the
call them right when it's snowing, they're like, yeah, sure, no problem.
yeah, one of the things that James and I think discussed is that it sounds like yeah we don't have enough time to really help you ramp up for the spring, right? There's just not enough.
Yeah.
And it sounds like, but also that you have a lot of work in the summer and spring anyway. So if we spend the next 3 to 6 months putting the systems in place to help you get winter work and be really ready for next year, I think that's kind of where we're leaning. If there's
I'm
some
not
things,
opposed to that. I'm
okay,
not opposed to that. So long as we take a methodical approach and we use our credits towards the things that are of value. If that value is not right now, but that's 6 months or 8 months or 12 months down the road, I don't have a problem with that. I'd almost probably prefer that rather than trying to squeeze just for time and then not doing something in an A or an A plus, doing it as a C instead. I think that would be a mistake.
yeah, I think what's going to benefit you long term in working with us is to get these fundamentals in place over the next 3 to 6 months. Focus on getting you winter work, but then that system that we build now will have should have a snowball effect for years to come, right? If we just keep doing the right things over and over again, then 2027, 2028, you'll reap the rewards of getting it. I agree with you. I'd rather do a really good job in putting some fundamentals in place than to trying to grasp at something that's really fast and maybe not doing the best job at it.
Mhm.
Um, I did want in relation to that and with your new work in the bids coming in, I did have one tangential question if I can figure out which.
Sure.
Okay, so this is really helpful, I think.
Yep.
So just looking at the top line here,
Yep,
or first service. Okay, so you bid on 14 projects for them, and they gave you 4 of those projects. Is that
that's correct. Yep.
what is the number one reason why you didn't get the other 10? I guess I'm curious. Like,
Yeah, so everybody is different and it's pretty complicated. So for
okay,
example, like let's just start our way down the top and I'll go quick. So the BLC, for example, was a terrible rate. And theirs is because they're a general contractor, commercial general contractor who bids, interior offices and all sorts of stuff like that. And they asked John to bid the jobs before they even get them. So they're one of 4 bidders and they need our help to prepare an estimate. Some general contractors don't do it that way. They'll actually bid it with their own just canned numbers. And then
mm,
after they get it, they'll ask us to do it. So BLC is different. BLC actually asks us to help them on the front end, get a hard estimate. And so they're one of 4 estimate general contractors. So they're only winning 20% of those jobs.
okay,
And then we're only winning 1 out of every 3 or 2 out of every 3
sure,
of their jobs. So it's like
Mm,
that number is really, really low.
I
MR
got you.
maintenance, we anything he gets, that's Joe Malone. That was our highest guy. Any job he gets, we get. He's never
Okay,
used another painter other than us. But
wow,
look at how low our hit rate is, and the reason is again because he's doing bids he does them for Prologis. He's the sole provider for the small maintenance stuff for Prologis. Every bid, Prologis has them do all sorts of bids where they're working on a napkin with somebody trying to get a lease through, and they're like, well, this guy wants to lease this space, but he needs 3 more offices. And then he's got to bid to
mm,
add 3 more offices. And, well, no, this guy wants to lease this space. He wants to convert the warehouse into all offices. And
uh,
so there's a lot of that crap going on. So cycling down to answer your question about first service residential, I think we're kind of on the outside looking in there. They have a preferred vendor list. I could forward you an email about that. And we can't seem to get on it. I don't know how we get on that,
okay,
but like, so I think that they already have 3 bidders, so we're at least or 4, so we're like a 4th or a 5th. We're just kind of an
mm,
add-on, I think. I would guess. Wouldn't you think?
Yeah.
That's
And there's probably not many people, like Igor is probably 5 of those jobs.
Yeah, that's true.
And with that, we only got 2 of them.
Right. He's right. I don't know if you heard that, but
I didn't
there's
hear.
probably 3 or 4. It's 14 bids, but it's literally only like 2, maximum 3 or 4 sites. It might only be 2 sites, and they'll
Okay,
just be like, "Hey, we're bidding. We're
Mhm.
moving into next year, and we need a couple of bids. Can you help us with some bids?" And so they're preparing bids for the board to present to them, and they'll give a whole bunch of bids about all different types of things, and the board might only select to do one of them.
okay,
So it's not necessarily like our closing ratios that bad. It's more that they oftentimes are fishing numbers and they don't even do them.
okay. Yeah, that's helpful. So I'm guessing that it. Correct me if I'm wrong. There's probably not a lot that we can do to help you narrow that gap. It's kind of it is what it is. But if there's something that we can do in the short term,
Yeah,
if
no, I
we,
like where you're going with this, and I appreciate the question. I would say what we're more trying to do is get in with the first service residential, back in with the NAIF, and kind of
yeah,
open up the door to some of these places
right,
that like hopefully you're right, we would be in charge of having to try to figure out how to win those. And because I
okay,
don't know how you as a marketing company would help us, you maybe with the strategy, but it's hard to explain. There's so many nuances to it. If you didn't know that, you'd be like, why in the world are you wasting your time with BLC? However, BLC has been one of our top 15 customers for the last handful of years. So like we figure like we're almost like a bid service to them. We're kind of
yeah,
helping them out with estimates. And,
yeah,
and it's kind of a pain on our butt, but it's a cost of doing business to have them give us 300 grand every year or 400 grand. And that might be a bad business decision. That might be a good business decision. If John
sure,
was real busy, we'd be like, forget them. We might need to
right,
find somebody else. But he had
yeah,
some bandwidth, so then we're like, we'll do it.
Yeah, I would definitely say it's not worth your effort to help us improve our odds. I know in a previous call we talked about helping with even like verbiage and RFPs and stuff. It will do no good.
okay,
They in the end they put our number in a spreadsheet or they
Yeah.
choose the guy they know.
yeah,
Having a fancy packet or these people just don't care.
okay.
So
That's helpful.
it
Yeah,
probably would not be worth the investment in that.
okay, okay. That's actually helpful. Okay,
These are the one more bit of information is most of these are heavy heavy. Most of these are heavy users, and because they're heavy users, they have heavy contractors that they go to on a regular basis, and so cracking the nut to get in with them oftentimes is hard. When I got in with Prologis, I always tell the story to joke around with my kids who are here so they can see it. I'm like, I literally had to go there, go for almost 8 years, and just kept asking and kept saying, "Hey, when your guy retires or drops the ball, would you give me the first opportunity?" And that was my sales pitch for like 8 years, 10 years. When your guy is retired, because I know you got a guy, and then I know you like him, and I
Right.
hope to be that guy someday. That you trust solely to go back to year after year, job after job. I hope that when he drops the ball, when he just screws up, falls flat on his face, or retires and moves to Florida, I'm your
Right.
first call.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if that's sometimes it's that long pitch.
Sure.
He
Sure.
did. He retired, by the way, too. He did. He retired. I got lucky there.
That's awesome. Um, okay. Just a couple more questions. This has been super helpful. Let me pull this back up. So as we're kind of thinking about this strategy, two things. Can you help us? Where did I just lost it? Again, I don't want to bombard you with too much work to do, but I think it would be helpful for us to, if you can start thinking about your contact list, your CRM, um, and do you have people at these companies, and then how do they fit into these different categories?
Okay.
So that we can start let's say we decide that we're going to send an email, and I'm not saying this is exactly what we're going to do, but let's say we decide we're going to send an email to architects and designers, and we understand their pain point, and we've
Yep.
kind of put together a little case study, and we want to share it with them. What we need to know is, who on the
Yeah,
list,
I
who are we
understand.
going to send that to? Yep.
No, I understand. That's important.
So
Yep.
we'll just start fleshing this out a little bit more
Yep.
into
We
like
can do
who
that.
who they are and what their role is. Um, and then let's see.
We have.
Can you send us this document wherever where was that one? Yeah,
Yeah.
that one right there.
Yes. Yep. I'll share this
Okay.
with you for
Okay.
sure.
Thank
Yep.
you.
And then one other thing you could help provide us for, and it could just be one or two sentences if you want. We can talk about this in greater detail later.
Yeah.
But what is the main pain point for each of these different groups that you're going to solve, right? Um, so some of the pain points might be that you just make it easy for them, right? So
Yep.
I imagine some of these potential influencers, for lack of a better word, they may not care as much about your budget or your price point as that they hate dealing with certain types of people. They hate dealing with certain types of red tape. So your pain point for them might be, we make it really easy for you, or we make you look good. The architects, it might be, we are the experts and we understand all the engineering aspects of what you talked about with lead paint or scraping ceilings.
Yeah.
So just help us kind of understand, like,
Yeah.
if you were to say like the number one pain point we solve for this
Yeah.
group of people, or two pain points, that would be
Yeah.
helpful for us as we start thinking about what are we going to say to them.
We can do that. And the thing that's a little complex about that is the engineers, the pain points usually similar. Like we talked about, they love to know how the Rubik's Cube works. Um, the general contractors, the pain point is a lot similar, but when it comes to property managers, the pain point is often all over the place. For
Okay.
one company, it might be dollar, 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 dollar. That's all they care
Right.
about. For another company, it might be make my life easy. I have a cush job already, and I just want to sit in my office. I don't ever want to leave, and everywhere in between.
Okay.
So it's a little complicated. We can give you some, but
Yeah,
there's
just
not. Yeah.
yeah, if we send this over to you, just make some notes to help us
Okay.
start to kind of
Yeah, we can do
understand.
that. Yep, we
Yep.
can do that. Yep. Specifically for the targets, correct? Like the orange and the yellow?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, we want to know how these orange kind of fit
Yes.
into who we're talking to at the company,
Yes.
and then what are their
Understood.
pain points. Yep. And the work that we're doing now, we're going to use this over the next 6 months to the year. So like
Yeah.
doing the legwork up front will be helpful.
Do you want them just to edit that doc, Dave?
Yeah, I'll put one together that we can share to make it
Okay.
easy. Yeah.
What maybe what we'd do is we could take the target company list and just add a few more columns to that,
Yeah.
and just or something or something that like so for example at NAI Hiffman, we can give you a bunch of information about NAI Hiffman. Here's their website. We suspect there's two corporate offices. There's 200 total people, of which 40 are property managers and blah blah blah. And we got 7 people who know us and blah 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 blah.
Yeah, yeah.
We
That
can do
that's
that.
what you just said is perfect. Like if you
That's
can get us that type of information,
Yep.
that's going to equip us really well to be able to know what to say to them.
Yep. We got
Okay,
that.
great.
Yep.
I mean, honestly, feel free to add it into that tab, that second tab with all the details, because I think I put all those guys on that list, and you
Okay.
can, yeah, contact person, role, email, everything.
Yep.
Whatever
However, we
you
can
want.
make it the easiest.
Yep.
Yep, that will help us. Okay, so we're going to be working on dividing up that target list into these different groups and what we're going to say to them. We'll have a follow-up call to discuss like case studies and start putting together some case studies that we can share with them. And then, yeah, um, we do want to, in the background while we're doing that, also kind of work with you again this month to make sure that we refine the story. Um,
Okay.
that's usually helpful for you as a client, but it's also helpful for us and our team as we know
Yeah.
like what we're going to be saying and how we're going to be saying it.
Okay.
And then in the
Maybe
meantime,
the email or canned responses will help you a little bit with that. Maybe.
yes, yeah,
And
if you
so
can send those out, yeah, what you send over as much as you can, and we'll review that,
okay.
and then we'll get back to you to schedule any follow-up call to just for the nuances and just to help us
Okay.
clarify things.
Yeah. I have some that are like sales answers to questions that I've given to some of the guys, and I have some canned email responses, and they are pretty much you're thinking along the same lines as me. I have answers to questions for architects. I have answers to questions kind of or
Yeah,
wording for property managers in commercial or wording in the city, and they're very different wording because their projects are different. So, yep, same
yep,
things you've been saying.
yep. So that's perfect. Yep. So we're going to work on defining out that segmented list and what we're going to say to them. And then on our end, we'll be working in some of the background as far as like starting to putting together um, a little bit of visuals. So if we're going to put together a case study, we need to start working on like, what is that going to look like the design for it.
Yeah,
And we'll set up another call to talk about your story just a little bit more.
sure.
But that's kind
Yeah,
of the direction we're heading.
you can help us with that by giving us some questions so that
Yep.
we can pre-think that through. Like, here's what, give us 4, 5, 6, 7 questions, and we can wrestle with that a little bit of like what it is that specifically that you're looking for. That would allow us to kind of dwell on that a little bit and try to come up with
Okay. Yep. We can do that.
Hmm.
yeah.
Currently we
Yeah.
Oh,
don't
do you
have.
have all our brand? Did I pass you all of like our like branding information? Like just
That was my next question.
no, that is okay.
I don't think we got that yet. Let me check. All I have is the customer sales total, like all the spreadsheets that you've sent us. We don't have
Okay.
your branding guidelines. So if you have any branding guidelines, that'd be super helpful. You might have to reach out. I don't know who did your branding beforehand, but
Yeah, so Jet did some of the stuff. They did some pamphlets and some brochures and some stuff like that. So
who
yeah,
designed your
Yeah. If you
logo?
can, yeah, if you could share that with us in your logo files and things like that.
yeah. Jet did that.
Gotcha.
Yep. Yeah.
Also, just thinking, just trying to, do we need access to your CRM? So if you're going to
Yep.
continue to work with that one, if you'd like us to get on there and in the
Yep.
future and segment all that. Currently, all you have to do is update that spreadsheet if you have it. I can put it in the recap email. So all this will come in
Okay.
the recap email. All the
Yep.
things.
We can do that. Those things are quick and easy. Yeah, that's not a problem.
Awesome. Great. Dave, do you have anything else?
No, I think that's our plan. That's our next step.
Okay.
All
And then
right.
we'll probably have one more meeting this month to clarify the story, but we'll send you questions ahead of time to try to make
Okay,
that
that
as
would be helpful.
efficient as
Thank you.
possible.
Yeah. Yeah. Where are we at? We're the February the 11th. So yeah, looking towards the last week of February, 2 weeks from now.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll reconnect one more time this month.
Yep.
Okay. All right. I will get to work on trying to upload some of the easy stuff right away and send it to you. So no
Okay.
problem.
Great.
Thank you guys.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Appreciate it. Have a good day.
Good to see you both. Hope you feel better 100%.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.